I never thought a single piece of paper could destroy my entire world, but that's exactly what happened on a cold Tuesday morning in February. My name is Marcus Reid, and I'm a staff sergeant in the United States Army, or at least I was supposed to be. The morning started like any other at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. The sky was that particular shade of gray that promised snow, and the wind cut through my uniform like a knife as I made my way across the parade ground. My breath formed small clouds in the frigid air, and I could hear the distant sound of morning PT formations echoing across the base. I'd been stationed here for 3 years, and this place had become more than just my duty station. It had become my home. I remember walking into the company headquarters, stomping the cold from my boots, when First Sergeant Martinez called me into his office. His face was grave, more serious than I'd ever seen it, and my stomach immediately tightened. In the military, you learn to read faces quickly, and his told me that whatever was coming wasn't good. "Reid, sit down," he said, gesturing to the chair across from his desk. I sat, my back straight, hands on my knees, waiting. The office was warm, almost stifling compared to the cold outside, but I felt a chill run down my spine anyway. "There's been an incident," he began, pulling out a folder from his desk drawer. "In Afghanistan, your unit, the convoy you were supposed to be with." My heart stopped. 6 months ago, I'd been pulled from a deployment at the last minute due to a training requirement. My team had gone without me, and I'd spent every day since feeling guilty about it, like I'd abandoned them. "There was an IED attack 3 days ago," Martinez continued, his voice heavy. "The entire convoy. Marcus, there were no survivors." The words hit me like a physical blow. My brothers, my team, gone. I could see their faces in my mind. Johnson with his terrible jokes, Rodriguez who never shut up about his kid back home, Lieutenant Hayes who'd promised to buy me a beer when we all got back. All of them, dead. "But that's not all," Martinez said, and I looked up at him, wondering what could possibly be worse. "There's been a mistake, an administrative error. Your name was on the convoy manifest. As far as the Army's official records are concerned, you were killed in that attack." I stared at him, unable to process what he was saying. "What do you mean? I'm right here." "I know that, and everyone on base knows that. But the paperwork, it's already been filed. Your family has been notified. Your death benefits are being processed. According to the United States Army, Staff Sergeant Marcus Reid is dead." The room seemed to spin. "My family. My mom. She thinks I'm dead." Martinez nodded slowly. "We're working on correcting it, but these things take time. The bureaucracy, it's complicated, could take weeks, maybe months to sort out." I stood up so fast my chair nearly tipped over. "Weeks? Months? My mother is a widow living alone in Columbus, Georgia. You're telling me I have to let her think her only son is dead for weeks?" "Marcus, I understand." "No, you don't." I was shouting now, something I never did, especially not to a superior officer, but nothing about this situation was normal. "I have to call her. Right now. Your phone is listed as disconnected. Your accounts are being closed. Your ID is flagged in the system. Until we sort this out, you're in a kind of limbo." I walked out of that office in a daze. The cold air hit me again, but I barely felt it. As I crossed the base, everything looked different, strange, like I was seeing it through someone else's eyes. Soldiers passed me, going about their daily routines, and I wanted to grab them, shake them, tell them that I was supposed to be dead, but I wasn't. That somewhere my mother was crying over a flag and a folded uniform. That night I lay in my barracks room, staring at the ceiling. My roommate had been transferred the week before, so I was alone with my thoughts. The heating pipes clanked and groaned, and outside I could hear the sound of soldiers returning from evening chow. Normal sounds. A normal night, except nothing was normal anymore. I thought about my team, my brothers who really had died in that desert. I thought about the last time I'd seen them, how Johnson had punched my shoulder and told me not to have too much fun while they were gone. I thought about Rodriguez showing me pictures of his daughter's 2nd birthday party. I thought about how I should have been with them, how maybe if I had been there, things would have been different. And I thought about my mother, alone in that small house in Georgia, believing her son was gone forever. The next 3 days were a blur of meetings, paperwork, and frustration. I sat in countless offices while officers and administrators tried to explain how such a catastrophic error could have occurred. Apparently there had been a last-minute change to the convoy manifest that wasn't properly updated in the system. When the attack happened, my name was still listed, and the notification process had been automatic. "These systems are designed to be efficient," a captain from personnel told me, his voice apologetic but detached. Unfortunately, that sometimes means errors get propagated quickly. Efficiently wrong, I muttered. By Thursday, I'd had enough. I found myself sitting in a coffee shop just outside the base, the first time I'd left Fort Campbell since learning about my supposed death. The shop was warm and smelled like roasted beans and cinnamon, a stark contrast to the sterile military offices I'd been haunting. I ordered a black coffee and sat by the window, watching civilians go about their lives, oblivious to my impossible situation. That's when I saw the flyer on the community board: Annual Veterans Day Parade, Columbus, Georgia, November 11th. Honor our heroes. Columbus, my hometown, my mother's town. An idea began forming in my mind, crazy and desperate, but an idea nonetheless. Veterans Day was 9 months away, but the wheels in my head were already turning. If the army couldn't fix their mistake quickly, if my mother had to go through months thinking I was dead, then maybe I could give her something else. Not a phone call that could be dismissed as a cruel prank, not a letter that might get lost in the mail, but something undeniable, something public, something that would prove beyond any shadow of doubt that I was alive. I would walk into that Veterans Day parade, in my dress uniform, in front of the entire town, in front of my mother. They thought I was dead. I'd show them just how alive I was. Over the following weeks, I worked with First Sergeant Martinez and the base legal team, trying to expedite the correction of my records. But military bureaucracy moved at a glacial pace. Every form led to another form. Every office redirected me to another office. My personnel file was flagged. My death certificate had been issued. My mother had already held a memorial service. I'd learned about it through a friend who'd called the base asking why I hadn't attended my own funeral. That detail had nearly broken me. My mother, standing in the church where she'd taken me every Sunday as a child, accepting condolences from neighbors and friends, crying over a son who was very much alive, but might as well have been a ghost. I threw myself into work, into training, into anything that would keep my mind occupied. But every night I thought about that parade. I started researching, planning. I called contacts in Columbus, people I'd grown up with, people who could help. I needed to coordinate this perfectly. My mother had to be there. The timing had to be exact. "You're really going to do this?" Martinez asked me one afternoon in March. Snow had finally come to Kentucky, and the base was covered in a thin white blanket. "Do you have a better idea?" I replied. He shook his head. "The correction is still hung up in Washington. These things, Marcus, they're saying it could take until fall to fully resolve. Then I'll be walking in that parade." March turned to April, and April to May. Spring brought warmer weather to Fort Campbell, and with it a kind of routine to my strange existence. I was there but not there, present but officially absent, a living ghost in uniform. I stayed in contact with my old friend Derek, who still lived in Columbus. He worked for the city now, helping organize community events. When I told him my plan, he was silent for a long moment. "Man, that's either the craziest thing I've ever heard or the most brilliant," he finally said. "Your mom's going to lose her mind." "That's the idea," I replied. "Can you make sure she's there? Can you make sure she's positioned where she'll see me?" "I'll handle it. Marcus, I went to your memorial. It was hard, man. Seeing your mom like that, I know that's why I have to do this." Summer arrived, hot and humid. I spent my days training new recruits, going through the motions of being a soldier while technically not existing on paper. The army had given me back pay to compensate for the months of administrative hell, but money couldn't replace the time my mother had spent grieving. In August, Derek called with news. "The parade route is set. I've got your mom on the VIP list. She'll be in the front row right at the intersection of Broadway and 10th Street. That's where the color guard passes by." "Perfect," I said. "Derek, thank you. Just promise me one thing," he said. "Film it. Because no one's going to believe this story otherwise." September came, and with it, cooler weather and the first hints of fall. My records were still not corrected, though there was finally movement on the paperwork. But it didn't matter anymore. In 2 months, everyone would know the truth. The night before Veterans Day, I couldn't sleep. I lay in my barracks room, my dress uniform hanging on the door, freshly pressed and ready. Outside, I could hear the usual sounds of the base at night, distant voices, the rumble of trucks, the ever-present hum of activity that never truly stopped. At 0400 hours, I got up, showered, and put on my uniform. The familiar weight of it felt different today, charged with purpose. Each ribbon on my chest represented a chapter of my military career, but tomorrow would be a chapter unlike any other. I adjusted my beret, checked my appearance one final time in the mirror, and headed out. Martinez met me at the base entrance. He'd arranged for official leave, though the paperwork was a bureaucratic nightmare given my status. "You sure about this, Reid?" "Never been more sure of anything, First Sergeant." "Then go remind them you're alive. And Marcus, your team, they'd be proud of what you're doing." The drive to Columbus took 7 hours. I'd rented a car, something I could do because despite being officially dead, I still had a driver's license and enough cash to make things work. The highway stretched out before me, cutting through Tennessee and dipping into Georgia, past towns and cities, waking up to a November morning. I thought about my team during that drive, about Johnson and Rodriguez and Lieutenant Hayes, about the fact that they really were gone while I'd been given this strange second chance. Survivor's guilt was real, and I carried it with me like extra weight in my rucksack. But I also knew that walking into that parade wasn't just about proving I was alive, it was about honoring them too, about showing that even when the system failed, even when everything went wrong, a soldier could still find a way to stand up and be counted. I arrived in Columbus around 1100 hours. The parade was set to begin at 1300, which gave me time to find Derek and coordinate the final details. The city was alive with Veterans Day energy. American flags hung from storefronts, banners stretched across streets, and people were already gathering along the parade route. I met Derek at a coffee shop 2 blocks from the parade staging area. He nearly dropped his cup when he saw me walk in. "Man, it's still weird seeing you," he said, shaking my hand. "You look good. You look alive." "That's the goal," I replied with a thin smile. "Your mom's already here. She's with the VIP section, right where I said she'd be. Marcus, she's trying to be strong, but you can see it, the grief. It's written all over her." My chest tightened. In an hour, that changes. Derek handed me a visitor's badge and a map of the staging area. "You're joining the color guard right at the front. I've cleared it with the parade organizers. As far as they know, you're a soldier on leave who volunteered to participate. They don't know the whole story. Better that way. I want this to be a surprise." The staging area was organized chaos. Veterans of all ages milling around, high school marching bands warming up, vintage military vehicles being positioned. I found the color guard assembly point and introduced myself to the sergeant in charge, an older veteran named Thompson who'd served in Desert Storm. "Staff Sergeant Reid, reporting for color guard duty," I said, saluting. He returned the salute. "Good to have you, son. We're leading the parade. Stay tight with the formation and remember, this is an honor. We're representing all those who served." "I understand, sir, and I take it very seriously." As 1300 hours approached, I took my position. I was on the right flank of the color guard, carrying the American flag. The weight of the pole felt solid in my hands, grounding me. Around me, I could hear the excited murmur of the crowd, the warm Georgia sun beating down on us. November in Columbus could be unpredictable, but today was perfect. Clear skies, temperature in the low 70s, a light breeze that made the flags ripple and dance. The parade marshal gave the signal, and we began to march. The sound of the marching band behind us filled the air, drums keeping time with our steps. Left, right, left, right. The rhythm of it was familiar, comforting, the same cadence I'd marched to 1,000 times before. But this march was different. Every step brought me closer to the intersection of Broadway and 10th Street. Every step brought me closer to my mother. The crowd lined both sides of the street, people cheering, children waving little American flags, veterans in old uniforms saluting as we passed. I kept my eyes forward, my bearing military perfect, but my heart was pounding so hard I was sure the soldier next to me could hear it. 3 blocks to go. I thought about what I would see in my mother's face. Shock, certainly. Disbelief. Maybe anger at being deceived for so long, even though the deception hadn't been intentional. But I hoped more than anything for joy, for relief, for the lifting of a burden she'd carried for 9 long months. 2 blocks. I could see the VIP section now, a raised platform with chairs and a canopy decorated in red, white and blue bunting. I scanned the faces, looking for the one I knew better than my own, and then I saw her. My mother, Sandra Reid, sat in the front row wearing a black dress. She was still in mourning, I realized with a pang. Her hands were folded in her lap, and she was watching the parade with the kind of hollow attention of someone going through the motions. Next to her sat Mrs. Patterson, our old neighbor, holding my mother's hand. 1 block. The color guard was approaching the VIP section now, and the crowd's cheering grew louder. This was traditionally the moment when the colors passed the honored guests, when veterans were recognized and celebrated. The parade marshal had positioned us perfectly, We would pass within 15 feet of where my mother sat. I kept my eyes forward, but I could feel the moment approaching like a wave. 50 feet, 40 feet, 30 feet. And then, as we drew parallel to the VIP section, I did something that broke protocol. I turned my head and looked directly at my mother. For a moment she didn't react. She was looking at the flag I carried, her expression respectful but distant. Then her eyes shifted to my face, probably expecting to offer a polite nod to a young soldier honoring his duty. I saw the exact moment recognition hit her. Her eyes went wide, her mouth opened in a silent gasp, and her hand flew to her chest. She stood up so quickly her chair fell backward, and Mrs. Patterson grabbed her arm, confused about what was happening. "Marcus?" my mother said, her voice barely audible over the crowd. Then louder, "Marcus!" I stopped marching. The entire color guard stopped, confused, looking at me and then at the woman who was now pushing past the barricade, breaking through the parade route, running toward me. "Marcus! Oh my God, Marcus!" The crowd fell silent, sensing something extraordinary was happening. I handed the flag to the soldier next to me and met my mother halfway, catching her as she threw herself into my arms. "I'm here, Mom," I said, my voice breaking. "I'm alive. I'm okay. I'm here." She was sobbing, her hands clutching my uniform, touching my face as if to confirm I was real. "They said you were dead. They said... the army told me." I know they did. It was a mistake, Mom. A terrible, horrible mistake. But I'm alive. I've been alive this whole time. Around us, the crowd had begun to understand what was happening. Someone had started filming, probably dozens of people were filming. The whispers turned to exclamations, and then to applause. The applause grew louder, spreading down the parade route like wildfire, until the entire street was thundering with the sound of it. My mother pulled back just enough to look at me, tears streaming down her face. 9 months, she said. 9 months I thought you were gone. I tried to fix it, Mom. I tried to get them to correct the records to let me call you, but the bureaucracy, it took so long, too long. So I decided if they wouldn't fix it fast enough, I'd prove it myself. I'd walk into this parade and show everyone, show you, that I'm alive. She laughed and cried at the same time, a sound of pure relief and joy. You always were stubborn, just like your father. The parade marshal approached us, clearly unsure how to handle this unprecedented situation. But Thompson, the color guard sergeant, waved him off. "Let them have this moment," he said. "This is what Veterans Day is about. This is what we're all here for." The crowd had formed a circle around us, giving us space but bearing witness to our reunion. I saw Derek in the crowd, his phone out, filming as he'd promised. I saw old teachers from my high school, neighbors I'd grown up with, people I'd known my entire life, all of them crying and cheering. "I missed you so much," my mother said. "Every day, every single day. I missed you too, Mom, and I'm so sorry you had to go through this." She shook her head. "Don't apologize. You're here now. That's all that matters. You're here, and you're alive, and you're home. Home." The word settled over me like a warm blanket. I was home in every sense of the word. Not just in Columbus, not just in Georgia, but home in the way that only being with family can provide. The parade eventually continued, but I didn't rejoin the color guard. Instead, I walked with my mother back to the VIP section, my arm around her shoulders, her hand gripping mine like she'd never let go. Mrs. Patterson hugged me so tight I thought my ribs might crack, and she kept saying, "It's a miracle. It's a genuine miracle." But it wasn't a miracle. It was the result of a terrible administrative error, followed by months of frustration and bureaucratic delays, culminating in one soldier's determination to prove his existence in the most undeniable way possible. The story spread quickly. By that evening, it was on local news. By the next morning, it had gone national. "Soldier declared dead, surprises mother at Veterans Day parade," read the headlines. The video of our reunion, captured from dozens of angles, went viral, racking up millions of views within days. The army, embarrassed by the publicity, expedited the correction of my records. Within a week, I was officially alive again in the system. My accounts were restored, my status reinstated, and a formal apology was issued by the Department of Defense. But none of that mattered as much as the expression on my mother's face when she opened her door on November 12th and saw me standing there, this time out of uniform, just her son coming home for a regular visit. Not a ghost, not a mistake in the system, just Marcus, alive and well. "Coffee?" she asked, like I'd never been gone. "Coffee sounds perfect, Mom." As I sat at her kitchen table, drinking coffee from my childhood mug, the one with the army logo that I'd gotten at basic training, I thought about my team, about Johnson and Rodriguez and Lieutenant Hayes. They hadn't gotten their miracle. They hadn't gotten to walk into any parade or surprise any loved ones. They were gone, truly and permanently, and no amount of paperwork corrections could change that. But their memory lived on, in me and in every soldier who continued to serve. And in some small way, by fighting so hard to prove my own existence, by refusing to let a bureaucratic error erase me, I'd honored them too, because that's what soldiers do. We fight, we persist, we never give up, even when the system we serve fails us. My mother reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "What are you thinking about, sweetheart?" "Just that I'm glad to be home, Mom. Really, really glad." She smiled, and in that smile I saw all the grief and pain of the last 9 months beginning to lift. It would take time to fully heal for both of us, but we had time now. We had the rest of our lives. "Me too, Marcus," she said. "Me too." Outside, the Georgia sun shone bright and warm, and somewhere in the distance, I could hear a neighbor playing country music on their radio. Normal sounds. A normal day. And for the first time in 9 months, I was just another person in the world. No longer a ghost. No longer caught between life and death. I was home. I was alive. And that was everything.